Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Well, I had a issue working on a Suzuki DRZ400 the other day. Thing kind of kicked my ass, so I'm taking her all the way back apart again. Well, I did get it running. I don't know if you watched the video. Got it running, but it just wouldn't stay running, and then it stalled out and wouldn't start again. So I pulled the carburetor out, opening up the air box, taking a look at everything. You know what I blame all this on? Blame it on this Heineken. It's not garage beer. But anyway, I was suspecting that the carburetor needle and seat in the bowl was failing and overflowing, causing this thing to flood out. That was what I suspected, but I figured that once I opened up this air box and pulled this boot off that I would see a lot of fuel sitting in the low area, but I don't see that. So it's kind of confusing me a little bit. But what I do see in here, and I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it very well, but I can show you here in the low area of this thing is it's got a crap load of oil in there. I don't know what to think of that, but I definitely don't see fuel in there. I'm gonna clean that out, and I'm gonna open up this carburetor one more time because I'm not the type of person who lets a motorcycle kick my ass. I'll be kicking its ass, I hope. I don't want to talk too big here at the start of my video, but come along with me. Let's see if we can't get this thing figured out. There's a bad luck Heineken killing me here. So I took this thing apart, and I didn't see anything obvious wrong. There's an O-ring underneath this emulsion tube under the main jet. I replaced that. I don't know as if that could cause the problem. And then I pulled out the seat and the needle. And as usual, it's hard to get in on these small items with this phone. This has got what looks like a possible little defect on it. Now, I don't have any new ones laying around, but I have this whole box full of little carburetor parts. And I found a used one here, which I'll clean up and I'll try to fix that up. And then I've got the brass needle seat in here. I'm gonna try something. I've never tried this before. See if you get a kick out of this. So I have chucked up a Q-tip into my drill here. Gonna use a little bit of metal polish. I actually saw this on another channel. Guy who does similar stuff to me. He gets old junky things and makes them work. And he did this, and I don't know if it's gonna make it better or worse, but we'll get in there and polish this thing up. I can't imagine it's hurting anything. Interesting anyway. There you go, we'll get some of that crud in there. All right, well, worth a try. I'll clean that all up and we'll put this back together and we'll see if this does anything, you know, better than it was before. Carburetor's back in one piece. Oh yeah, I got my safety shoes on. Safety third, you know my motto. I just wanted to show you something here as to why labor rates are high when you take your vehicle in. You know, it's just a matter of pulling this carburetor out and working on it. It's not that big a deal, but look at where I got to get this thing. It's got to get by that frame rail right there, and it has to squeeze by that. If I angle it that way, it doesn't fit. If I angle it that way, it doesn't fit. So eventually you got to get enough. If you curse enough at this thing, then you get a lather going, you know, like you're... So that helps lubricate it. You know, you cut your finger, get a little bit of blood on there, and eventually it gets in there and the part's installed. So when you're wondering why you know, you go in and get a water pump changed on your car, and the water pump costs $80, but the labor to install it was $200. That's the reason why. It's never just as easy as unbolting and bolting something in. So I'm going to take you off camera while I curse and bleed on this thing and get it installed, and we'll see if my little garage hacks help this thing run better, and if not, then I guess there'll be more cursing and bleeding, and we'll figure it out. Alright, let's see what we got. I already see we got an issue. There's some fuel leaking around this float bowl. That gasket was in bad shape, so if this works, I'll just take it apart, and I guess we'll try some sealant on it for now. Okay, so yesterday I did get it to run, but once it shut off, it wouldn't start again. So let's see what we got. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I want to let it sit for about 5 minutes, and I'll try it again. If that works, well, I still got to pull that carburetor off one more time and seal that float bowl, but it's definitely operating better than it was. So I think I'm right there. I'm right there. So we'll see. Let me give it a couple minutes, and we'll figure it out. Another secret to the success of why this thing is running better now is I drain the oil out of it, and well, let's see, if you're familiar with the way oil looks, you let me know what you think of this. That's what came out of this thing. So, if you remember from the previous video, I mentioned changing out this vacuum operated fuel valve, fuel petcock, because these things fail. And they fail and leak, which means that the fuel goes past here. And then we had a bad needle valve in here, which means that this thing overfills, which means fills up with fuel, goes beyond that. Bring you over here. And then it goes into here, goes into the intake. If the valves are open, then it goes right on top of the piston. Even if the valves are closed, after a while, they're not going to hold liquid the best. It goes past here, goes past the rings, eventually fills up the crankcase with fuel. So you got two issues that happen. Number one is you can hydrolock your motor, which means when you hit the start, the piston goes up, hits that fluid. Fluid is not compressible, which could then bend valves. It could bend your connecting rod. It can cause all kinds of problems. Number two issue is if the fuel goes past the rings down into the crankcase, well, then you've got diluted oil in there, which then is going to cause problems and wear out your bearings. So I drained out about a gallon of fuel/oil out of here, and it's only supposed to hold 1.8 quarts. So that was another issue why this thing was not running well. So I am setting up this bowl. I put a little bit of sealant on there. This is not an ideal solution. Ideally, you would replace that gasket, but I don't have one. I've done this before. It will work, 9 out of 10 times, 99 out of 100 times, whatever. So we'll get that back on there, lose that leak around here, and hopefully we'll be done with this thing. But if you have a Suzuki DRZ400 and you have one of these vacuum operated petcocks, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it is going to fail. So the recommended replacement is a Yamaha part. Let me see, I don't have the box. I was looking here in the trash. I'll try to find it, but do a little bit of research. It's a Yamaha part, bolts right on there. It's about 20 bucks. My sealant job here appears to be working. I don't have fuel going down on this thing anymore. And oh yeah, this thing, I hate this. I gotta hold the clutch in to start it, but I guess that's the legal way. That's right. Went from a failure to a success. Glad I got her figured out. It's kind of funny, things like this, I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up in the middle of the night thinking about things like, what could it be? So now I'm not going to be losing sleep over this silly Suzuki here. We've got her nailed. I got to get the seat on here. I hooked up some hardware here to mount the tank better. These were not correct. And there's some up here. Maybe I'll see if I can get some hardware for those, because those are missing as well. So little things like that I like to do. Take care of people when they bring their stuff over. And you know, I have a entire bucket full of hardware here, so might as well use up some of this stuff, and then I'm sure when I need it, then I won't have it. But that's the way she goes. If you're digging what you're watching, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, that like button, put some comments below. Let me know what you'd like to see on the channel. And I'll try my best not to get too many more carburetors, but it's kind of what I do in here. So at least there's different bikes all the time. I'm looking on getting another big project here at some point soon. So we'll see what happens. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.